Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88, Dean Radio, and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright, along with Justin Hill, CJ Medieros. Tucker is out tonight. So, guys, the Super Bowl is now behind us, along with the rest of the 2021 season. Sadly, I know it is all gone, but for the next few months, we will be changing gears to some off-season talk, which actually, believe it or not, is pretty exciting. Watching where everybody goes, seeing who gets traded where, the draft, all the hype that goes along with that. But so we do have a great show planned for you tonight. We'll talk about all things off-season, such as the quarterback market, free agency. We'll look at all the top 5 teams in cap space and what they should do with it. But we'll start off with predicting the destinations of the top free agents this offseason. So there's a big, long list of free agents. We have a pretty good class of free agents this offseason. So we're going to go through some of the lists. We put together a list of some of the top players in that class, and we're going to predict where we think they should go. All right, so you guys ready for this? All right, boys. So we'll start with Devonta Adams. So assuming that he doesn't follow Aaron Rodgers out the door, or he just stays there, whatever you guys think. Where do you guys think Devonta Adams is going to go?
You know what? I'll take this. My first answer will be general, not Green Bay. For one reason, Adams, his literal top priority is literally, he said, whoever pays him the most. That's probably where he's going to go. Second, Green Bay cannot afford him. As many of you know, they're $40 million over the cap. There's no way in hell they can afford this guy. So I think he's going to Vegas because it's all but certain that Derek Carr inks an extension with the Raiders. And if they do, he and Adams are really close friends, and I'm sure they would love to team up in the NFL just like they did at college.
All right, Jay Hill?
I definitely see where you're going right there, CJ, knowing that Derek Carr played with Devonta Adams in college, like what you just said, and also he's from Las Vegas. Am I right?
I can't tell you that.
I think wherever he's from, but well, in my eyes, I think we're going with Devonta Adams. I think he's going to go wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, and that's going to be the Denver Broncos. Why? I say it's because, for number one, there's no way that Devonta Adams is going to take a franchise tag. If the Green Bay Packers did put a franchise tag on him, he's going to probably sit out just like Le'Veon Bell did. We already know what happened to Le'Veon Bell after he sat out. He was never the same. But regardless of that, I know Devonta Adams, he really wants to play football. He's like one of the best receivers out there in the game alongside him and Cooper Kupp. Wherever Rodgers go, he's going to go. That's Rodgers' guy, and that's Devonta's guy right there. So wherever he goes, that's where they're going to go. And I know the Denver Broncos for sure is going to give whatever money Devonta Adams wants.
So I think Devonta Adams is going to be that player who follows the big shiny object. In other words, wherever that big name quarterback goes, which could be Russell Wilson, that could be Deshaun Watson, that could be Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to follow one of those players out the door. They're going to get all the publicity. He gets to catch balls from Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, and they're the next team that goes and forms a super team and goes deep into the playoffs, like the Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before then. And I think that's where Adams is going to go. I think he's the type of player who just wants to play with an elite quarterback and get paid. And I think going with one of those players is going to do that.
Not only get paid out, but win at the same time. This is a man that has lost maybe 3 to 4 NFC championship games with Rodgers. I think a good environment like Denver, a quiet spot, a very chilly area that can clear like his mindset and also like a mentality to win as well, including Rodgers. Rodgers and Adams, they want to win very bad.
Absolutely. So moving on to the next player, we'll go with defensive end Chandler Jones. Where do you guys think he's going?
I mean, I've seen him mocked to New England, which I'm not against because even though he's like 33, he's still good for at least 8 sacks a season, and he's still a dominant force off the edge. But when I look at Chandler Jones, I would not count him. I mean, I feel like he's going to be relatively cheap in free agency due to his age. So don't be shocked, I think, if the Kansas City Chiefs make a play for him because their front seven is awful. Chris Jones is a good run stuffer, but Frank Clark is not worth that mega deal that they signed him to. And I feel that Chandler Jones, if they signed him, would help him immensely and shore up that defense.
So, CJ, when you say like a minimum deal, I could definitely agree to what you're saying. I think a team that could maybe go for him is maybe the Cincinnati Bengals. We've seen what that defense was like in the Super Bowl, as we saw. I think America saw. But at the same time, they can definitely get him on a cheap deal. That'll be very great.
Actually, that was my answer, which was the Cincinnati Bengals or New England, actually. But I think any team that needs some help on defense, they're gonna want this type of player. So you could look at even the Jacksonville Jaguars, who need some talent, and they're way up there in cap space this offseason, so they'll be able to spend through their faces, and they won't face any big penalty. And I think Chandler Jones is that type of player who can elevate your front seven. So I'm going to go with one of those teams. I'll go with the generic, any team that needs help on defense, he should go. Going on to the next player, we have Chris Godwin. So where do you guys think Chris Godwin should end up?
Now, this is probably another cop-out, but like I said with Adams, Godwin's not coming back. He is not coming back to Tampa. He's not going to take a pay cut because he's not playing with Tom Brady anymore. And Tampa, I think it's like 10 mil over the cap. They can't afford him. But when I see Chris Godwin, I'm thinking, obviously a receiver-needy team. And I think like a perfect team for him to go to, I feel would be New England. Because, I mean, he's a good route runner, good hands, and depending on how much, he wants to get paid, I feel like it could work. But if he's looking at like 20 mil a year, I don't know. It really all depends on what he wants, but he would fit New England's scheme perfectly.
He definitely would. In my eyes, I definitely see him re-signing with Tampa. Tampa drafted him into this league. And you know me, I've said this in previous podcasts with you guys. I've told you guys face to face, I do not believe in the salary cap in NFL. I feel like it's up to the owners if they're willing to pay whatever player they want. But at the same time, I do not see him leaving Tampa. However, if Tampa was to not pay him or if he walks, which he might, at the same time, I could definitely see him going to maybe Las Vegas, for an example, if Derek Carr stayed. Because with the Raiders, they have money, including New England as well. But I definitely really want to see him stay in Tampa because him and Mike Evans, the trio they put together for years, it's unstoppable.
All right, so I'm going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars for where he should go. And let me explain why. This is a team with a young quarterback who's getting better head coaching, hopefully. Well, anything could be better than Urban Meyer. So, you have this young quarterback and you have a lot of money and you need to get this young quarterback some talent to throw to. And I think that Chris Godwin is a nice player to get. He's not going to be too expensive because he's coming off an ACL tear. And he's also that leaves you enough money to address the defense as well. So I think that would be a win-win for them to be able to go and get Chris Godwin. Not too expensive, but it'll cost a little bit. But again, Jacksonville is one of those teams that is way up there in cap space, and they'll be able to spend a little bit.
Yes, I agree. Who's next?
We all three of us went. Oh, we're going for
I'm
the
talking
next
about
player.
next player.
All right.
Yeah.
So next player we have is J.C. Jackson.
This
Recently
one
played for the New England Patriots. Where do you guys think he should go?
This one hurts me, but I'm already hearing that he's hesitant to play on the franchise tag. However, he did amend his statements and say if he's tagged, he's still probably going to play. But we've heard from I don't remember the source, but like he already said New England hasn't even reached out to him yet. That's not a good sign. They're probably expecting them to walk. But all that aside, I think the best fit is Cincinnati. Think about it. You got gashed in the Super Bowl. Your back seven's getting gashed all season. You paid Jesse Bates, but now what? Since he's got like the third most cap space, I would say going after J.C. Jackson just makes sense. However, as a Pats fan, I will warn you, Cincy, if you sign him, you don't know what you're going to get because is he really good or is he a product of Bill? We'll have to see.
Well, for the New England Patriots losing Stefan Gilmore in the trade, I think they don't want to lose J.C. Jackson. But I could definitely see the Bengals as well going for him, CJY, because the Bengals are trying to improve their roster in that tough Super Bowl loss. But at the same time with New England, I can maybe see them maybe come up with something with him, a possibility, but we shall see.
So I'm also going to say Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is a great spot for him to land. You know, they need a top corner, and they also have enough money to do it. And, you know, this is kind of a match made in heaven, to be honest. J.C. Jackson is looking to be paid top corner money. The Cincinnati Bengals seem to be willing to pay that type of money, and that's also what they need. So it's a mutually beneficial thing for both sides, and they're going to Cincinnati will end up winning more games because of it, and J.C. Jackson gets to be along for the ride and be their top corner in that secondary, along with hopefully for them being able to get Jesse Bates back. But our next player we have is Mike Williams. He's a wide receiver. He played for the LA Chargers. He was drafted by them as well. So where do you guys think he's going?
Now, I've actually seen some news bits saying that New England is interest, but I honestly think he should stay in LA. LA's got money. There's no reason not to pay him. And maybe he doesn't want to be a number two. And I get that. But Keenan Allen's not getting any younger. And you will, like, in a year or two, maybe even next year, because like I said, Keenan Allen's he's like 30-something. You will be Herbert's number one guy. So you need to resign. And if you're the Chargers, there's no reason not to resign him because you have money.
Mike Williams is not even worth $10 to $15 million. Okay, this is a guy that choked in my fantasy league. CJ, I think you know as well. Cost me a lot of losses near the end of the season with that guy. But at the end of the day, regarding with this conversation here, they're gonna probably put him on a 1 to 2 year deal. He's not even worth $5 to $10 million. He's worth maybe $500K. But at the same time,
he had like 9 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards.
I agree. I agree with that, but I'm gonna talk.
You were holding too much against this guy just because he screwed you over in fantasy.
Oh, but who won your fantasy league, Justin?
He's a very good wide receiver, and he's good in fantasy too.
To answer your question, he'll get a solid contract with them, as like you said, CJ. LA has a cap. I can see definitely maybe 2 to 3 years, but you know what you did to me, Mike. You know what you did.
Wow.
I'm sure he feels very bad about that. He probably thinks about that all the time. Does he send you texts? Be like, hey, dude, Jay Hill, man, I'm sorry. Sorry I ruined your fantasy league. That was the first thing that was on my mind, not the fact that I missed the playoffs.
I actually went and I lost to CJ. No, I lost to someone else.
But I still won your league, though.
Indeed.
All right. So I guess we're all gonna agree with this one because I think he should stay. I think he should stay as a Charger, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. They should honestly use the franchise tag on him. I haven't seen their full free agency class, but I mean, I'm gonna assume that he's at the top of that class. Franchise tag him or sign him to a big deal. You have the cap space to do it. And if you're Mike Williams, you get to play with Justin Herbert for the bulk of your career. Why would you not do this? This makes sense for both sides to do, and I think it's going to happen. So I think he's going to stay in the LA Charger. If he doesn't, then I'll be shocked. I'll go that far. But going on to our next player, we have left tackle, who was New Orleans Saint previously, Taryn Armstead. Where do you guys think he's going to go?
Now, if there was any player that I can guarantee isn't coming back to their current team, it's Taryn Armstead. Let's just rule him returning to the Saints out now, because Saints have like the worst cap situation. They're 70 mil over. Taryn Armstead, is like a top 10 left tackle, and I would definitely expect him to leave. But honestly, I like him going to Baltimore. I really do. Their O-line got gashed, and mostly due to injury. And it doesn't. As much as I like Ronnie Stanley, it doesn't look like he's the guy, because he can't stay healthy. So why not get a proven veteran with no health issues like Taryn Armstead? It works.
So we're going with Taryn Armstead. My fault for the mispronunciation, but as you know, the Saints, they're in luxury tax right now. They're like over it right now, and I could definitely agree with you, CJ, with him going to Baltimore, because Baltimore, they need some defense. As you know, they didn't have a lot last season due to injuries, but I could definitely see him going to maybe Baltimore, maybe a team that's looking for some defense right now. I'm not going to be repeating myself saying the Bengals, but I could definitely see the Ravens.
So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is a team that has a little bit of money, and their offensive line, besides quarterback, is probably their biggest hole on that roster. And if they're going to bring in like a top quarterback, if they think they're going to bring in Russell Wilson or that be Aaron Rodgers, then you're going to have to go, or Deshaun Watson, or you're going to have to go and get a decent offensive line, because besides the offensive line, everything else is pretty good. And if you're going to attract one of those big name quarterbacks, you're going to need to shore up that offensive line, which starts with getting Taryn Armstead. Next thing you know, you're going to have Najee Harris you even throw the ball to and hand it off to. And if you decide you want to throw it because you're an elite quarterback, you can throw it to Deontay Johnson, you could throw it to Chase Claypool, you could throw it to Juju Smith-Schuster, and you can throw it to what was it, Freiermuth, the tight end? That was his name, correct? Yeah. They have a very, very good team, and they have a good defense. I think if you go out after Taryn Armstead, Pittsburgh, it makes a lot of sense for them. But anyways, moving on to the next player, we have wide receiver. He played for the Chicago Bears. We have Allen Robinson. So where do you guys think Allen Robinson is going to go?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And I know we said this earlier about one of the others, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him go to Vegas. He's lanky, he's fast, his hands are good. He would just be perfect for Derek Carr. And, because, you got to take some heat off Waller and Renfro. And, you just get another big target like Robinson. That would be perfect for the Raiders scheme.
With Allen Robinson, he's had a lot of contract issues with the Bears demanding what he wants. And this short to show he's not going to get what he wants. He should go to a team that's going to give him what he wants. I could sound and say him going to maybe the Jets, because the Jets do have cap this offseason, so maybe that team, maybe the Raiders, but wherever team he goes to, I think he'll definitely be a great fit.
So CJ, I believe you and I have agreed on a lot of our picks for these players, and I'm actually going to take your side on this one as well, which is the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is a team that is looking to improve at wide receiver, but also has a few other places to improve as well. And they have money, but they don't have too much. So they're going to need that one wide receiver who's not going to be too high of a price tag, because Allen Robinson, let's face it, as much as he wants to be paid, he probably won't be paid that much. He'll be paid, but not too much. And they still need to address the defense a little bit. They're going to have to look there as well. So I think Allen Robinson is a good fit for them. They go and get that one wide receiver that Derek Carr has needed ever since Amari Cooper left. And they're also able to address the defense. I think this is a great fit for both Vegas and for Allen Robinson. But anyways, on to our last player. We have left tackle. He played for the Kansas City Chiefs, Orlando Brown. Where do you guys think Orlando Brown is going?
I also don't think he's going to sign with the Chiefs because the Chiefs just flat out can't afford him. And it's looking incredibly like it's going to be a one-year rental deal. So I keep saying this, but I really think he'd be a great fit in Cincy. I mean, I would say you put him at left tackle, move Jonah Williams over to right, and you got these two bookends that can fend off edge rushers for Joe Burrow. God knows Joe Burrow needs help, and Orlando Brown would do wonders for them.
So I saw something earlier today regarding with Brown. I heard that I read all how the Jets, they should like maybe make a move on him. And these are like teams they need to do 1 year rentals. I'm gonna go with you, CJ. Maybe the Bengals and a second team and optional, maybe the Jets, because they're always looking for someone that'll pay anyone money.
So I would say the Bengals. However, the Bengals don't really need help at left tackle. Their left side is fine.
Move Williams over to right.
Move Williams to right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Because
possibility.
Orlando Brown literally said he does not want to play right tackle.
Yeah, he's said that. So that's part of why I said that I don't think he's going to be a Bengal. Plus, I feel like they're going to – I wonder where they're going to address what, because I feel like there could also be a chance that they address the offensive line through the draft, and then they work on the defense in free agency. But I actually think – I was thinking about this, the Vegas Raiders, who I talked about in for our last player for Allen Robinson, they also need help at the offensive line. So if they were to go there and give Derek Carr a left tackle, that would make all the sense in the world as well. I think that would be a good spot for him. You not only give Derek Carr his wide receiver one, but you also give him his left tackle. You protect his blind side. That makes all the difference in the world, and it improves Carr's production. We could see Carr with all these pieces around him, regaining that old form that he had from the 2016 season, where he was an MVP candidate. All right. But anyways, we do have to move on to our next segment. So this is going to be an interesting year for quarterbacks. And we have a little bit of a quarterback carousel that is most likely going to happen, which is going to make this offseason very entertaining. We'll get on to that next. Don't go anywhere. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. Welcome back. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright, Justin Hill, CJ Medieros. So we're talking about a little bit of offseason after the Super Bowl sadly ended and the 2021 season with it. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about, including the fact that this is the second straight year that a newly acquired quarterback has won the Super Bowl. We've seen quarterbacks change teams and had success in the past with Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, etc. But several elite quarterbacks in this offseason in particular are set to hit the market, the trade market, with Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, possibly Russell Wilson, or maybe Kyler Murray, depending on how that situation irons out. And on a smaller scale, there's also Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz out there as well. So, guys, what do you guys think about the the quarterback movement that could potentially be taking place this offseason?
Well, let me tell you this right now. I'm going to be beyond mad if Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Because why put the fans and the media through this for like the second straight year? Also, did you see his like Instagram posts all cryptic and stuff? Come on, that's got to be a man that's leaving. And like I said, like we've all said, the perfect place for him would be Denver. It's a match made in heaven. But I don't know. Rodgers is just a weird dude. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if he stays in Green Bay. Because they're just not going to trade him, and Rodgers doesn't have the guts to sit out. And with Deshaun Watson, it's just, I genuinely don't think he's going to get moved. Even without his legal issues, mark my words, he's not going to get moved. Because Houston, stubborn as they are, refused to budge on their asking price. They want, I believe, 3 first-round picks plus 2 players, like plus 2 late-round picks. No. If any Houston exec happens upon this, you are not getting that. And I believe the Commanders offered you a deal with like 2 first-round picks and Chase Young. That's what I've heard. I can't confirm or deny it. And they turned it down. That's just wrong. Just Houston, you got to bite the bullet and trade him at some point because that's $160 million that you can't use. And as far as Russell Wilson goes, like 9 out of 10 chance he's leaving Seattle. He's frustrated there. They're in rebuilding. Their team's just falling apart around them. Pete Carroll, I don't know. He should probably retire. And honestly, Russ's best chance is somewhere else. I don't know where, but I just know he's probably gone. And just for kicks and giggles, we'll bring up Kyler Murray. I don't know what's going on with him, but I think he's going to stay. This is just... He might just be going through the motions, but I genuinely don't know how to describe this. He's just like being a weird guy about this. But I wouldn't be shocked if he gets traded, but they'll probably work something out.
I like your point right there, CJ. Regarding with Aaron Rodgers, this is a man that's lost 4 to 5 NFC Championship games in the last decade, from the 2010s till 2020, right? So regarding of him, he needs to leave Green Bay. This is a Green Bay team that's built around him, and they wound up choking every year after year. And at this point, I feel like people insiders in the NFL, they have literally hyped up Aaron Rodgers to the point that he can handle it. But as football fans, we need to say to ourselves, like, this guy needs to go transition somewhere else. I feel like this is like another Peyton Manning scenario, how people used to hype him up. Peyton Manning was the man, but Aaron Rodgers proven that he's not the man. But he is a bad man. But at the same time, you need to go to a place like Denver where you could just keep your cool, focus on yourself and your liabilities on what you need to do to win. Another trade I need to see happen, I need to see Derek Carr leave the Raiders. I think the amount of money he's looking for is ridiculous. I think Mark Davis, I think with him, he has shown that his love for Derek Carr is just ridiculous at this point. This is a man that took Derek Carr over Tom Brady, where the Raiders, a rumor last season, they were interested in Tom Brady, and the thing never happened. And regarding with him, I've heard stuff like the Steelers could be interested. The Steelers do not have a quarterback right now due to Ben Roethlisberger retired, but you don't know if they're going to choose either Dwayne Haskins or the Rudolph guy, forget his name at the moment. Another thing I could definitely see happening is what the Seattle Seahawks are going to do with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has done everything for that organization. He's brought them to NFC playoff games, Super Bowl 48 when he blew out the Broncos. But at the same time, it's up to Russell Wilson now, because Russell Wilson, he's taken a lot of beat down for the last couple of years. And now I think it's time for him to go. I think he should maybe go to the Raiders, maybe go to a team that's like in like just a warm environment, just a new like hole that can help him like get through with an O-line at the same time. But at the same time, he has the receivers, but he doesn't have O-line. And with Kyler Murray, I could definitely see Kyler Murray staying. I think with the Cardinals, they need to just really talk to him. And for him to be in his third year complaining like this, like, listen, this part of life. You didn't, like, not to get off track. Michael Jordan won his first title until like 1991. when he was in the league for over 7 years. It takes a while to get your first championship. And with Carson Wentz, he needs to go. And with Garoppolo, that's another one that needs to definitely go. Maybe for example, with those type of players, maybe teams like the Commanders, like you just said, CJ, maybe they could maybe trade for him or whatever, but we shall see.
So so since we're going through every name on the quarterback market, I'll just sum it up really quickly. Deshaun Watson's gone. Aaron Rodgers is gone or retired. Russell Wilson's gone. Kyler Murray's going to stay. Garoppolo's gone. Carr's going to stay. Wentz is out. I'll just go through every name on the list. Watson, I think they're going to bring their asking price down eventually. And Russell Wilson is eventually going to be on his way out. He even said last offseason, I said it last offseason when I said he's going to get traded at some point. It may not be this offseason, but the fact that he literally said he doesn't want to be traded and then made a list, it's like saying I don't want to leave, but if I'm going to leave, here's where I want to go. This, and this. That's just, okay, that literally means you're leaving. To be seriously. If you're going to say, I'm not going anywhere, you say I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to name the destinations you would go to if you're going to leave. That's the worst kept secret I have ever seen when it comes to Russell Wilson not wanting to leave. He's obviously thinking about leaving, and he probably wants to leave now. And Rodgers, I know that people want to say that he's going to stay in Green Bay, but I just don't see it. And honestly, I wouldn't rule out retirement at this point. I really wouldn't. That other post really looked a lot like a retirement post. And don't forget, during the preseason, during that brutally honest, press conference that he had, he literally said he was thinking about retiring last offseason. And now you add on, another league MVP and you MVP season, and then you get bounced in the first round. Good God, imagine going through that. He barely was willing to go through this season, and then it's another one and done. He's gone. He's either going to the Broncos or the Steelers, or he's retiring. That's what's going to happen. All right. Anyways, any more thoughts on this topic before we move on?
One more before we move along.
Sure.
Where do you guys see Deshaun Watson going? I think maybe the Buccaneers could maybe trade for him. Where do you think he goes, CJ?
The most realistic spot at this point is Minnesota. Tampa can't afford that deal. And, I generally don't think he's going to get traded. Houston's asking price is too high, and they refuse to negotiate. And on top of that, they want the other team to completely swallow Watson's deal. That ain't happening.
I would say the Vikings, but they seem too committed to Kirk Cousins. I want to say that would be a great fit. It's literally a match made in heaven, but it's just not going to happen. I just don't see it. Things could change, and I've been wrong before plenty of times. You guys who listen to me would know, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong on this one. And the Buccaneers are a decent option. But I think he's going to be a Carolina Panther. I think that's a team that needs a quarterback. They have a good defense. They have a decent offensive line. They have good pass catchers, and they still have Christian McCaffrey, who's sometimes healthy. Maybe he could stay healthy for a season. But I think the Panthers are a good spot for him, and I think the Panthers are a team that I believe wanted him last offseason as well. So maybe they revisit that. But anyways. We are going to look into the top 5 teams in cap space and what they should do with that. We'll look at that next. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright, Jay Hill, CJ Medieros. Justin Tucker is out tonight. He actually has a midterm that he has to work on. So good luck to Justin on that. Hope you pass it and get a good grade on it. It was a very good responsible choice to say, you know what, I'm not going to make it for this episode. We do miss you though, and we would love to get your analysis. He probably hates all the answers that we gave for Cincinnati, for all these good defensive players going there. He probably wants all of them in Baltimore. But anyways, the top 5 teams in cap space and what they should do with them. So we're going to start off with the Miami Dolphins. So what do you guys think they should? What should they spend that on?
All right,
let's whip through it quick.
O-line. That is all. Get every guy on the market you can. Your defense is solid. You have a decent receiver core with guys like Waddle, Parker, and Gesicki. I would say maybe find another running back, but a lot of people would say, "Oh yeah, what about quarterback?" But look, I would say give Tua one more season. And if you give him an O-line and he can't get you to the playoffs, I don't know what to tell you. But for Miami, don't go receiver. Don't go skill position. Don't what's it called? Don't
running back skill position.
Oh, okay, yeah, but I mean like receivers and corners and stuff. Like,
okay.
Don't do that. You have to fight your temptation. Don't go all out. Surround Tua. Get him a good line. It is beyond important that you do that.
All right. Jay Hill?
With the Dolphins, like what you said, CJ, O-line, and I'm going to say a quarterback. I do not trust Tua. I think the lefty QB should be illegal in the NFL. The last good lefty QB, in my opinion, was Steve Young. Let's just say that. That's a fact right there. And with Tua, he's showing that with the lefty quarterbacks in the NFL, it's ridiculous. And I think they should go for something like that for the Dolphins. Get a QB and an O-line.
I would say quarterback, but I just know they're not going to address quarterback this offseason. It looks like they're too committed to Tagovailoa. That's okay. You can be all right with mediocrity sometimes. But, I think offensive line is a glaring need there. I think it was a stupid decision for them to trust Isaiah. What was it? Isaiah Smith?
Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah.
Isaiah Wilson. Sorry. Isaiah Wilson. He was a top 4 pick in the draft a couple of years ago.
He'd be top 4 O-line pick because he was like a late first rounder.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he was like 29th overall to the Titans.
29. Okay. Still high pick that they decided to put all their trust in and put all their eggs in one basket, and they trusted a guy who was unreliable. It was stupid. So now they should actually open their wallets, write out a paycheck, and go out and get, let's say, a Taryn Armstead or an Orlando Brown.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the LA Chargers, what should they use that for?
If you're the Chargers, I would also say patch up your O-line a little bit. Your tackles are fine, your center's fine, but I'd like to see their guards be a little bit better. I also would go after a tight end because their current one's just not cutting it. Who is it even, like Jared Cook or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's old. That's not going to work. Your running back, I would maybe try to find another backup for Eckler. Your receivers are fine, but you got to ink Mike Williams. But above all, pass rush. And don't cry to me about their corners because their corners just keep getting gashed because the pass rush gets no pressure. You have to have another guy that can help out Joey Bosa. And maybe a guy that can stop the run too because you're abysmal at it.
I think if you're the Chargers, like you said, CJ Stomans, I definitely would go for a tight end because Cook is very old. As you can see how he played on the Saints, I'll definitely go for a tight end, maybe a kicker, but for the same time, I think their defense and offense is solid as it is.
I think they need some help on the defense. I think they have a decent defense, but it's not good enough. And, they have all the pieces on offense. I don't think they need that much help in offensive line. I really don't. They spent on it in free agency and the draft last offseason. They put a lot into it. Maybe they could use a little bit on guard, but I think overall they're fine. What they need is on defense. You need another guy. Since Melvin Ingram left, you need another guy opposite Joey Bosa. And you also need some help on some more help in the secondary probably. But I would say that. But anyways, the Jacksonville Jaguars, what should they use their money on?
Everything. Your O-line is bad. Your receiving group is mediocre. Lawrence, we'll see. Your running back group, when healthy, is pretty good. And your defense, outside of Josh Allen and Myles Jack, is a tire fire. But because you don't have gobs upon gobs of unlimited cap space, I would say get a true receiver one for Lawrence, address O-line in the draft, take Evan Neal number 1 overall, maybe get another lineman, maybe someone a better deal, and just load up that defense because you have no good DBs to speak of. Maybe grab another pass rusher to put aside Josh Allen, and for God's sake, please focus on your back four.
So just a very detailed way of saying everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Everywhere, basically, except quarterback and running back.
All right, Jay Hill.
So with the Jaguars, one thing you need to focus on is who you're going to draft. You have the number 1 pick yet again this year. Secondly, after whoever you draft, like you just said, CJ, I forgot his name at the moment.
Evan Neal.
Alabama. What position again?
Offensive tackle.
Put
him alongside Cam Robinson.
You definitely need an offensive tackle because you need to help Lawrence right there. Or you need to address the defense. That's another thing. And number 3 is fix, you need at least a star receiver. Like, the guys he has, it's ridiculous.
So when you have all of these spots to improve on, you have to pick a couple. You can't just say let's do everything because you're not going to get to everything, not even with the amount of money they have. I think what they should do is they should focus. Their number 1 priority is on that offensive line. They need to put a lot into that because your prized possession on that roster right now is Trevor Lawrence. And God forbid something bad happens to him where he gets hurt and he's permanently damaged, then you're screwed for even more years to come, and you're back on square one. You know, Trevor Lawrence is he's that X factor on that team. He's the guy he's the key to everything when it comes to rebuilding this team. And if he ends up being a bust or if you damage him, then you're screwed. So work on that offensive line. And I also think let's get the kids some confidence. Let's bring in Chris Godwin, like I said earlier on in the show, and address other spots in the draft. You know, the defense. If you can improve on that defense, that's bonus. But I think focus on the offense, build around Trevor Lawrence, and get this kid some confidence because he had a rough first year for the Jacksonville Jaguars, to say the least. But Cincinnati Bengals, this should be a fun one. What should we? It's an easy one, to be honest.
You start off,
CJ? What should the Cincinnati Bengals do?
O-line. That's far and away their biggest need. I mean, Burrow was sacked 7 times in the Super Bowl, 3 times against the Chiefs. Was it 9 times against the Titans? Joe Burrow's getting eaten alive, and he's already had a bad ACL injury. You cannot risk that again. And you have to pour money into the offensive line. Jonah Williams, left tackle, he's fine. But everywhere else, you need upgrades, and you need them badly. And maybe, just maybe, if there's enough left over, grab yourself a good corner. Because Eli Apple was like the toast I burnt this morning. Terrible.
All right, Jay Hill.
Offensive line. The way Burrow tied a record in an AFC division game with 9 sacks and all, you need to improve that indeed. You also in the AFC Championship game, getting sacked on that poor Chiefs defense. You need to work on that as well. I think you need to improve the defense. I think with the Cincinnati defense is good, but if you can improve it really more, maybe grab for example, J.C. Jackson, like we were just saying before, maybe grab him, maybe grab a couple of defenders. You'll look very decent to make it into the playoffs, maybe the Super Bowl for years to come.
All right. Offensive line's an obvious one, but also, especially with the free agent class we have, it's hard to miss or pass on these pieces on defense. Obviously, they should obviously use the franchise tag on Jesse Bates. That's a slam dunk right there. And like I said earlier on, go and get J.C. Jackson. You get therefore you have one of the top safeties in the league, and you have one of the top corners in the league, at least as far as last year goes. And obviously, like I said, offensive line. That's an obvious one, but I want to look a little bit past the obvious. So, defense is a place where they did need some help, and they don't have a very good secondary. So I think that would be a great spot for them. But anyways, last spot, I think we can whip through this quick. The New York Jets.
Let's just keep the train rolling, shall we? O-line, defensive backfield, and get him a receiver one. That's pretty much it. I mean, Zach Wilson showed some flashes in an otherwise disappointing rookie year. Get him a true receiver one, because I don't think that Corey Davis or Elijah Moore can be that guy quite yet. And you have to replace Mekhi Becton on the O-line because that guy is just a walking injury. And if there's enough, you gotta, you should probably get yourself another corner or two. But if I just pick one, I would say get Zach Wilson a wide receiver one. Your offense is not explosive enough. You have to have that punch.
Yep. Jay Hill.
With the New York Jets, I could say a lot of things, but seeing a Jet game live this year, I could definitely see the Jets maybe improving their wide receivers. That's one thing. And number two, their defense. Because their defense is just legit terrible. This is a team that I actually saw live. Let Brady go down the field with 2 minutes left and just win the game live. But at the same time, you need to improve on your defense. And this has just been a main problem for the Jets for years and years and years, and will continue until they improve it.
I think they need to. Their number one focus should be the offensive line. Like I said in the past, on the past two teams, you need to protect your quarterback. And if Zach Wilson is the guy, then you have to protect him. Because even if he is the guy, let's say, you'll never know that if he gets killed. Okay? So they need to work on that. And I think they also need I think they could use some help on the defense as well. I think their wide receiving core is actually a little bit underrated. I think Elijah Moore has shown some flashes. I think Corey Davis looked pretty good. Jamison Crowder as well. I'm forgetting a couple other names, but they had a nice little group there, and I think Elijah Moore, give him some more time, and he could really improve. But offensive line, defensive line, and they should work their way out because they do have that's another team just like the Jacksonville Jaguars that has a lot of places to improve on. All right, but up next, we are going off to the Fumblerooski fan box. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. I'm Adam Wright, Justin Hill, CJ Medieros, affiliated with Fans Only Sports Network and Power 88, Dean Radio. We are on to the fan box. So we post a question filter every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more, and we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. So respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. Now, our question of the week was, give us your best bold prediction for this offseason. So our first response was CJ, who said Tampa loses all their big-name free agents after Brady left. Now, just got to say, CJ, unless they bring in another big-name free agent, this is really not a bold prediction.
They can't do because, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Tampa's going to be right back in the mix because Bruce Arians is an offensive genius, and you know how I feel about that. But I mean, like, everyone's, Tampa's going to be competitive. They're going to bring everyone back but Brady. They're going to get another quarterback. No, they're not. Without Brady, no one there is going to take a reduced deal. There's no reason. It's back to the dark ages they go.
Indeed, no one's not going to take no more pay cuts, like what you just said, CJ. So I definitely agree with that right there. The days of pay cuts for Brady, trying to win a ring, is over.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tyson Tate said Minnesota Vikings will have Deshaun Watson on their team next year. This is this makes so much sense. The only problem is they're not going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
and it really frustrates me and just screams to me, we want to stay mediocre. We want to be married to the mediocrity that is Kirk Cousins. And for those of you who listen to me a lot, I know I'm a little hard on Kirk Cousins. He's still a solid quarterback. He'll take you to a few playoff berths and all that jazz. And he's a solid quarterback, and he's a good guy. He's a good kid, but he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. He's too mean. He's just not good enough for that. He's not. And he's also gifted with a few nice weapons that sort of help pad his stats with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. They've had some decent tight ends over his tenure. Just not enough.
I definitely agree with you, Adam, because regarding with him, his only good year, I remember that he really did really well, was in 2018, but they wound up losing to the 49ers. But it's like what you said, like what the Vikings are going to do for him, we don't know.
Absolutely. All right. Our next one is Grayson Mortimer, who said Russ to Pittsburgh. Here's one that I actually think could happen because I think they need that. That's a team who wants a quarterback. They have the roster to do it and to surround that quarterback with. It's not like they have to go into rebuild mode. They have wide receivers. They have tight ends. They have an offensive line that needs work. But if they work on that, then they're set. They're set. They have a great running back. They have a good defense. This is a team where if they get a quarterback, they're back. They're in it again. And if you're Pittsburgh, you are not just some lowly organization. You are the steel curtain. You are one of the best franchises in the league. You cannot just go into rebuild mode. Your reputation's too good for that. You go for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. I kind of agree with that. But anyways, Robert Shelley said Giants trade from 7 to 3 and get Kayvon Thibodeau. Is it Thibodeau?
I think it's pronounced Thibodeau. I've heard both.
Thibodeau.
What's his position?
Defensive end.
He's a defensive end.
First of all right, let me say something. I'm not going to go too long. We don't need another defense player. I think the Giants are really good on defense. What we really need, yet again, I'm going to say it, we need a quarterback and a receiver. No, we're not going to get Russell Wilson a type, but I'll give Daniel Jones one more year. And with Robert, he makes a valid point, maybe a defender, but we've took it too many defenders over the years. Like, it needs to stop. We need to look to get an offensive line. I'm sorry. That team is really into drafting the next Lawrence Taylor. Literally.
And imagine they actually get him. Wouldn't that be so reminiscent of those old days when Bill Belichick was coaching them? And let's assume this new guy who's coaching him, I'm forgetting his name, but let's assume it all works out. That would be pretty cool.
If it does, let's see. The last good person to do good with the Giants regarding defense was JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Justin Tuck.
Yep. All right. So Patrick Williver said Brady unretires. I want to say Brady's going to unretire. I want to say he's going to come out of retirement. I couldn't believe when he announced his retirement. I thought he was going to come back for another year. I don't think he's staying in retirement, but he's not coming out this offseason. If it happens, I think it's going to be in a year or two. He'll just come out. He'll be like, Jesus Christ, I can't stand to watch these bums. I'm going to come out there, and we're going to show him how it's done. And it may not be with the Buccaneers, may not be with the Patriots. It'll be with another team. He'll find another team with some good pieces around where he can make something happen, and he'll come back. But not this offseason.
Yeah, you're probably right. Tampa still owns him anyway, and they're not going to trade him. So,
yep.
I want to say one thing. With the great Tom Brady, you never know if he's going to come back or not. You never know with him. With him, I think you definitely see him come back in 2 years. He's going to save himself during the offseason when he's watching a Sunday night football game or a Monday night game or Thursday game. He's like, wow, I could definitely be out there. Like, I could definitely still do it. Maybe just talk to the family, the kids and the wife, just be like, hey, let me just go for one more run. You never know. You never know. Michael Jordan did it. Why not? Can't he?
Here's a bold take. Cam Alden said, Mac Jones is not the week 1 starter for New England.
Cam, buddy, you appear to have a condition called not explaining anything. Why? What do you mean? Are we going to trade for a better quarterback? Is Mac just going to disappear off the face of the earth? Is he going to get hurt in the preseason? This could mean so many different things.
Yeah, it could. And I think he means that Mac Jones, he just doesn't believe in Mac Jones. And I've always been skeptical of Mac Jones. You guys know how I've been about Mac Jones, but not enough to say this guy isn't going to be that good.
Didn't Mac Jones take a veteran Cam Newton's position? He knew the playbook better than Cam Newton. So in my opinion, Mac Jones will be the starter for years to come.
He'll be the starter for a couple years, but even if he can't play, he'll be the starter for a couple years because I think this season earned him the starting job for at least a season or two.
Yeah.
But Willie Mantle, who appears to be a new follower of ours, he said the Jets trade second and third round pick for another first. So they already have 2 first rounders. So he's basically saying they're going to have 3 first round picks, kind of reminiscent of the Las Vegas Raiders back in 2019 when they had 3 first round picks. I'm pretty sure they missed on all 3 of them. Just the guys they drafted weren't that good.
Oh, they got I think that was the draft where they got Josh Jacobs. That was fine.
Yeah, Jacobs worked, but they also got Arnett, and they also got Henry Ruggs.
No. Arnett and Ruggs were in the same draft. That was in Jacobs. That season, I think it was Cleveland Farrell and Jonathan Abram. But that's neither here nor there. If the Jets got a 3rd first-round pick, that would be a smart move. That's all I'll say for that.
Yeah, they could use some more youth and some more assets. It's a young team anyways, so if you get some more young talent, that's a good idea for them. Nick Norman had 2 responses. So first one was Saints finish below 6 wins, which I'm sorry, Nick, but I don't think that's a very hot take.
That's just common
just because it's not that he's going to be wrong. It's just that we can pretty much expect that to happen. But anyways, his second one was actually pretty good. I liked this one. With a healthy offense and better coaching, the Giants have a season like the 2018 Bears.
Can I talk right here, CJ?
Yeah, sure.
Well, regarding with his comment, we're not like the Bears. We're not like the Giants. We're going to miss the field goal and hit it like Cody Parkey. That's one thing. And number 2, with the Giants, we're either going to go to the Super Bowl or we're either going to win or lose in the NFC Championship game. We're no Bears team, okay? We're no Bears team. And
I think he meant that as a compliment, though.
Oh no question. But I love his compliment. But listen, we're don't compare us to the Bears now. We're not a bunch of choke artists like them now.
Wow.
But at the same time, the Giants, we will always be those guys and them boys. But at the same time,
the 2016 Giants have other thoughts on that.
Justin, you guys, as of late, you haven't been playoff chokers. You're not, because you have to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, but we're still in the improvement. We're still in the improvement, but at the same time, we are no Chicago team. Never.
All right. So any other thoughts before we end the show here?
Nope. I said all I need to say.
All right, boys. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Be sure to tune in to us live Tuesdays at 7:30 on Twitter and Facebook through Fans Only Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.